Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. And in previous session we have created the service and service group and the classes related with the service, and those we have created in our resort management system as part of the same project. So there were also classes basically that extended our sys operation framework, as well as there were some resort service classes in order to pass the message or the main function. For example, change resort group was a method which is responsible to change the resort group of any existing resort, and then there was one method to get resorts, and that was basically using our resort table contract class. So that was like uh, extending or using or implementing the same table fields which we have used in our table related with resort, that is resort table. So all the fields which were used were implemented as a contract class in order to pass the field values as a parameter. So this was one of the contract class, and the same was declared here, and that was also populated as a list, and that was written in order to get a resort list. So this was our and then there was one resort, no, not this one, yeah, this resort message contract was there, which will be responsible to pass a success message and to pass a string message. So this was an additional class which we have done. So now in today's example, we will see how we can consume the service in our SOAP as a SOAP service in an external application. So first I need to just show you once I build the project. So you can access as a SOAP service the same resort services project, and this one is pkr underscore resort services. Basically is a service how we can access our service. So how that will be named is basically through this services groups. So once you, as you can see here, I have embedded the existing URL of D365 and then slash SOAP and slash services and then slash pkr resort services. So it will show me like this one. You have created a service. To test this service, you will need to create a client and use it to call the service. You can do this using serviceutil.exe tool from command line with the following syntax. So that one is also given here, how we can access this, and how we can access as a C# class or VB.NET class is also given here. So also I have used with the WSDL tag, and this is available like you can see. So this is just like an XML, and similarly this is as a single WSDL, and so this is how it is appearing. So it means that our service is working now, and now we need to consume our service, SOAP service, in an external application. Then we'll also see our JSON in next videos. So what we can do is now we have a overall solution with a single project, and we need to create another project within the same solution. We can go to the add and then a new project, and then go to the Visual C# node here, and then you can go to console application with .NET framework in braces, and then you can give it a name like pkr underscore resort service test. So this will be the name of our new console application project. So I will create this one. So now you can see there is another project node created, and the namespace and the using statements are used here, and with a single class with main entry point here is given. So now we can see that namespace should be also the same one, whatever we have given as a survey project name, so that need to be also the same one. So now we need to install our NuGet package, and in order to do that, go to the tools and go to NuGet package manager, and then you can open package manager console. So at the bottom you can see there is a console that is called a NuGet, where we can execute NuGet commands. So here we can start with issuing a command like install package, and that will be Microsoft identity model dot clients dot active directory, in order to have an authentication module installed. So we can just press enter in order for it to execute. So it is attempting to gather dependency information for package, and it will execute in a moment. So as you can see, there are so many things or packages being added in our existing project, like these all security, cryptography, and certificates. These are now installed here. And then what is our next step is we can go to references node here, and just right click, and then we can choose to add a service reference here. So go here, and what we can add here, the service URL as a SOAP. So that I already have typed here, which we have accessed also in our browser, just like this one. You can copy from here as well and put it here. Okay, and then after putting it in address, you can press the go button. Okay, and now you can see the services are available on the left hand side, and you can see once you click the services under the service group, you can see the operations which are available to perform here. So we have implemented two operations. One was change resort group, and the other one was get resource to have the list of resort. And the first one will basically perform the business operation of changing the resort group to an existing resort. So that is here. And then what we can do is we need to change the name space here from service reference basically to our namespace used in the project. You can see on the left hand side, this one, pkr underscore resort service test. And once we have check this and match this with our namespace, you can click OK, so that the reference is added. You can see here our connected service is shown now. Okay, and next what we can do is we need to create a new class. Just collapse this and go and right click here and add a new class. You can directly add, or you can add a new item, and here the class, you can select the class here and name it just like authenticate, or you can also put here our prefix like pkr resort authenticate. Okay, and so basically we'll need two classes. One will be the contract class, so that we can pass data to our authenticate, the pkr resort authenticate class, and then authenticate class itself. So we'll just create this class that is pkr resort authenticate. Okay, and then we need to also we need to create another class. So just that will be a contract class. Go to add and add a class here and give it a name like pkr resort authenticate contract. So what we can do is, here we need to use we need to replace our references which we are going to use here. So we need to change the references here. So keep the threading task reference as it is, and system reference as it is, and the remaining we don't need, so just replace them or remove them, and then go and type a using reference for Microsoft identity model dot client dot active directory with terminator of semicolon, and then inside the class here we need to use a getter setter that is of public string username. Similarly, you can then copy paste this statement multiple times. That can be 6 times, and then just replace the name of the method, like this will be password, and then there will be a domain. These are all used for authentication. The application ID, these values need to be passed, then resource, and then response. Remove the last one. So these 4 methods need to be used here inside the class, and then we can go to our authenticate basically class here, and then in authenticate we need to write some piece of code to start with public constant, and then of a string type or authentication header. So all authentication header need to be authorization and terminate with a semicolon here, and then we need to declare a variable of a string type that will hold bearer key, and then public authentication, basically that will be pkr authenticate contract, and name it like authentication get and set. Okay, and then there will be one method public string bearer key that will have a get return bearer key. We need to write down a few methods in order to implement the authentication, and this time it will be a security key, security URI basically. Okay, so errors are for return value, URI, builder, URI, variable need to be here, and then return URI to string need to be returned here. Okay, and then what we need to do is initialize this URI class or class object with URI builder class, and provide the URL of login.windows.net/ this will be authentication URL, and then authentication.domain need to be passed here. Just save it. So there is an error that string type in this way cannot be converted to a system URI builder. So basically there is a problem here. We have put 2 brackets instead of 1, and now it should be okay, yes. And then we will implement a public user password credentials, user password credentials, get credentials. So I will just complete these all methods, and then I will let you know once I have done it, instead of converting it to a boring session. So I will just type it and then let you know. So I have now completed the resort authenticate class, and this class is basically used for authentication purpose, and we will be getting an authentication token which is called as a bearer key, which will be used when the requests are made. So that is the whole purpose of this class, and this will be responsible in order to pass the authentication. So there are certain property method like this one, and similarly in our contract also we have used the property methods. And get and set means we can get value or set value. So if only get is used, so that will be read only. And here you can see the bearer key method is used to get the bearer key in the end, and basically then there is a get security URI method, and in which the URI of the main login windows.net URI will be accessed, and this URI will be created and returned. And similarly, there is a user password credentials method to get the credentials, and similarly get authorization method is used in this manner, and the same you need to also write down. And then there is a get authentication header method that is being implemented here with a try catch statement. So if there is authorization results are taken and or the bearer key are received, if there are any error, it will go to the catch block and it will show if authentication is failed with the inner exception message, and otherwise if the inner exception is null, so it will go to the else statement and it will show the authentication is failed along with the message. Similarly, if authentication is passed, so that will, in this case, if it is failed, it will return false and return the control from the method. But if it is a pass, so after try, it will go at this line and the authentication response will be okay, and there will be a return true value being passed. So in this way, we have implemented the authenticate class. And you can see using statement contains only 3 statements. The main is this one, Microsoft Identity Model Clients Active Directory. So that is that library is being used here. And the contract class we have already seen, and that is also using statements are the same. So in this way we have done this, and now we need to also create one more class. And that will be, so the new class will be a SOAP utility class, and that I can go to the project, C# project, and again in the same manner we can add a new class, and then I can write here pkr resort and then SOAP util. So the class will be created here, and then we need to see here our using statement. Okay, collection generic is not needed here. We will remove it. So system, then system.link, and so then there will be a service model which will be used, so that we can replace the third one with system dot service model, and similarly the last line also need to be service model, then dot channels. So in this way there will be 4 using statements used here, and then we can go to the class itself, and then we need to start writing the code for this class as well. Let me finish and come back, so that then I can explain how it is implemented. Now we have completed our util class, that is SOAP util or PKR underscore resort SOAP util class, in order to simplify our usage or usage of authentication class. So in this class we have there is a public constant string type of variable or constant, and it will have the value of authorization as a string. And then there is a get service URI, which will bring the URI, or it will form a URI in a logical manner, just like this one. So this need to be embedded whatever service name is passed. So that is the whole purpose, and there will be a D365 URI will be passed. So along with this, if service name is also passed as parameter, so the in between this SOAP slash services will be embedded into that one, and it will be returned. So this is the main purpose of get service URI. Then similarly, there is a get endpoint address, and that will accept a string of URI, and it will form an endpoint address, and it will return the address. Similarly, there is a get binding method, basically that will also accept this endpoint address as a parameter, and then it will set few properties, just like whatever integer max value is, it will be assigned to, there is a binding object, binding basic HTTP binding class object, and that is basically initialized here with along with the basic HTTP security mode of transport. And then there are certain properties like reader quotas, related with reader quotas, like max array length, max string content length, max name table character count, that all 3 lines we have assigned the integer max value. And then in the last 3 lines, the time span as well as integer max value are assigned to for max received message size, and similarly send time out and receive time out, time span max value is assigned. And then there is a variable of HTTP binding element which we need which we have implemented in this statement, and if it is not null, then it will also be assigned a property max pending accept to be 10,000, and the whole method will return the binding class object or class instance, authenticate classes. And then we need to also implement one class to update a resort group. So for that we need to create another class in C#, and go to add new class. Then we can put a name like resort, pkr underscore resort, update resort group, to update the resort group. So this class will have the using statement, only 2 using statement it will use, so we will remove all other. So first one will be system service model, and then dot channels, and the other one is just service model, so we'll remove the generic here. Okay, this will be the using statement, and then we need to implement our class, and for that inside the class we need to write a method with public access modifier as a public. And then what we need to do is, because we have already referred our service references has been already added, so what we need to do is the return type will be pkr underscore resort management system. So now we can in this one while writing the method we can put the access modifier of public, and then the reference of service reference, which what we have added here, which is shown as a connected service, that can be put here. Then we can enter the dot operator in order to show the IntelliSense, and here we can see like pkr and resort message contract is shown that can be used, and then we need to put an update SOAP method, and then we can define our parameters. So parameter will be authentication contract. So the authentication contract is basically we have written here PKR resort authenticate contract. So the same one we can use here, PKR resort authenticate contract, and we can give it a variable name or class instance name, and similarly PKR resort service test and dot PKR resort group change contract need to be defined here, and that will put as a class instance variable of underscore change. Put the brackets is class instance object is created, and then we declare the message contract here, and similarly if in the if condition it is checked whether authentication header is received or not. So otherwise, if it is not received, so the message will flag it false, and then it will return. And there is a bearer key which is declared here, which is basically the authentication token received, and then this token will be used for building up the message to communicate with the service within D365. So then there are certain statements for endpoint and address for the services which will be basically called from this application. And you can see here, I will share the code as well, and at the bottom you can see there is passing context is also passed, which is now optional because it was a legacy. In any case, partition key or the partition will always be initial, and the remaining things are not mandatory, but for showing it, I'm just putting it here. And then basically it is a context object or instance is instantiated, and then it is set, which will need to be passed here. And you can then see a using statement here in order to limit the context, and within this, whatever the working is going on need to be cleaned up. And here you can see there is a request message instance which is declared here, and also a bearer key which was received is now set here in the header of the message, so that it means the authentication has been authenticated at first place, and now the message is being built, and it will be needed to communicate it will be sent to the D365 end or service end. The request message instance is then passed to the outgoing message here, you can see, and then actual work is here which is performed, and basically change resort group is the method earlier on it was written as a service operation, and it was used as a service operation. So actual working is going on here, and it will be called in order to the resort group, and the results will be returned. Ultimately, the main calling point will be the program class here. The main entry point, the main method will be the entry point, first entry point, and there are certain variables to keep the password, and the important part here is application ID, which we need to register on Azure portal, which I will just show you. And here the resource means the domain name from where D365 will be accessed, and the messages which will be shown to the screen in this console application, and it will ask a username in order to authenticate, and then a password. And there is a simple logic written here in order to hide the password. Means it will show the star. If there is a certain password, it will not show the actual characters. And similarly, when enter key is pressed, so it will come out, and then whatever the actual password in terms of characters was received will be assigned to the authentication contract password property. And then there will be another message shown to the user to enter or show the tenant, which is in this case is one box, but in your case, if it is an instance, you can put there. And then if you can't if you don't enter anything, so the default domain will be used here. So default domain will be the same. This link will be the default domain. So that will be used here. And if you enter some domain, so definitely that will be taken care by this statement. Domain is blank, means user has not entered anything, so default domain will be used. From here we have now used our resort update resort group class, and we have which I just showed you before this. This one is the class, and after instantiating the object of it, I need to just set the param resort ID and resort group in the same instance. So what is change is here. It is basically class resort group change. Right? I will just show you this one. So this is in X++ what we have written here. So we need to just set this param resort ID and param resort group ID, which are written as a service operation, in order to change it. So this is, we are assigning here the name of existing resort ID and the name of resort group ID to which this resort the group need to be changed for this resort. And then there is a resort message contract which is defined here. And what is this resort message contract? It was also earlier on written. If you can follow up my previous video. So here there is a success method and there is a message method which will be so these are the two methods already written there. Okay, so now then there will be an update SOAP method which will be called, and authentication contract is passed and the change instance is passed, which is instantiated here, and it is set through the param methods. And now if there are if and else condition, if message.success means success of change of resort group has happened, so it will show a success message that resort was changed to the resort ID what was hard coded here, and to the resort group ID what is mentioned here. And this also we can similarly we can take the input from user if you would like, so that will be only change here. You just need to write few console.write ln and read line calls, and it will accept from the user. So, but in this case, I have just written it in a statement of line. And then in case of else, definitely it is a failure, so it will just show the message, and it will wait here until you press a key. So this is the total implementation. And apart from this, there is furthermore, I just need to show you, if you go to the portal.azure.com, on the same instance where your D365 is hosted, you need to register the application which we have written here as a console application. So in this one, I will just show you from the beginning. For example, this is my domain for learning. So this is my AD, Azure Active Directory. And here in app registration, I need to register an app. If you are registering it, so you can click this new registration option, and then you need to give few values which I will just show you. So here it has assigned me, it asked me few input like the application name which I can input as per my requirements. So I have put PKR Resort Management System as the application which I need to register. And it has assigned me an application ID which I have used here in my code. I will just show you. You can see in here application ID. This string value is taken from this one once you register the application. So apart from this, the domain name is this one. In my case, it is a one row. So once you have registered this, then you also need to assign a redirect URI. So that I have assigned a one box machine URI. In your case, there will be an instance URI. Basically, maybe it is a sandbox or it is a prod instance. In case of D365, you need to assign that one. So apart from this, there is one more thing which is very important, and you might receive due to which few problems. I will just show you the problems as well. So this one authentication failed. The request body must contain the following parameter: client assertion or client secret. So some people they might face this problem, and some might face the user or administrator has not consented to use the application with ID. This one, what I have registered as an application. So send an interactive authorization request for this user and resource. And similarly, there can be a problem like the resort group luxury could not be updated for resort ID. If there is, for example, a non-existing value you have hard-coded in your main method, like here, if this resort ID does not exist already, and the resort group does not exist, so definitely you will face this kind of problem like resort group luxury could not be updated, so it will not be successful. For the other two message, I will show you what can be the problem. So I will just go to my application registration here. This was my application, and within my application I can go to API permission basically. So here you can see Dynamics ERP AX full access has been delegated. So this is must. So how you can add this? You can just go to add permission, and you can find here Dynamics ERP, which is available here, and you just select it and choose delegated permission, and there you will be given three options. You can select all of these options, but only AX full access in our case will be enough. If you want to access OData or a custom service, so definitely those options can also be can be used. But here I am giving a full access, means everything will be accessible. So so there is no need to select any other option. So this option will remove this error. The user or administrator has not consented to the application. So this error will be removed as soon as you assign it and add a permission. So definitely this will be removed. So what was the other problem? If you go to the moment, I will just show you one by one. So in order for you to also set the similar settings, in the branding and properties, only the name I have mentioned, nothing else. If you want to mention anything else, it is up to you. And publisher domain taken care of because the user ID or the domain I am using here must be there also, and the same domain should be used here. So if you are using any other domain or you have updated any other domain, so it will not work in that case. So you need to take care about this. No need of this one. And in the authentication, is a redirect URI. That's it. Okay, so here allow public client this option will be you turn it to no. So you will face this problem. The first one, the request body must contain the following parameter: client assertion or client secret. So authentication must have failed due to this. So you need to just turn this option, allow public client flows, as yes. In certificate of secrets, there is nothing here. In token and configuration, nothing. Only in API permission you need to give AX full access, as I have mentioned earlier on. So then in expose API, nothing. In app roles, nothing. Owners is definitely whatever is your admin account, so that will be shown. In roles and administrator, Also there is nothing here, and that's it. So once you have done this, I will just run the application. Before that, I just need to show you in our resort, basically in the resort module, the resort management module, you can open the resort page, and here you can see there are multiple resorts which I have just changed. If you are following up my previous video, so I have changed the data. So it is up to you. You can also change, or whether you can change, you can use the previous value, whatever in your case are. So here, so I have used resort number 2 here, which is this one, and if you can see here, it is assigned a resort group of Northern. So I want to change it to Central. So how this will work, I will just show you, and then I will refresh the value on this page so that you can see if the change has happened already. So just I will start running the program, the console application, and you can see how this will start. Okay, so it is asking me the username, and in case of username, I will just select my user ID along with the domain name. So this is my username, and in your case, you can use your own, which I have already. So here it is asking me a domain name. Since I have already used this domain, in your case, it must be a separate, different domain. You can use your own domain, and domain is nothing else but the string after @ so that will be the domain here. So I will just press enter, and now it will start calling, it will start authenticating and building up the message and communicating that message in order to in the SOAP way to call the service operation from D365. And once it is done, it will show some message, and if it is failed, then it will also show the message. So we will just wait until it will authenticate and change the resort group. So now you can see that it has mentioned that successfully updated resort number this to resort group Central. So now what we can and now it is waiting here. We can go back, and here you can see the previous value for this resort, and I will just refresh. So you can see here the Central, the resort group Central has been assigned to this resort ID, which is number 2. So it means the our SOAP message has communicated successfully, and authentication has been successful, and then the service operation has also been successful. Whatever we have changed through a console application, so it has called the service, and it has communicated the value through the contract, and it has changed the resort group. In this way, you can consume the services using a SOAP based messaging protocol, and from a console application. So that's it, and if you have any comments, just let me know. There will be another sequel for this, and stay tuned for that. Thank you very much, guys. Take care. Bye bye.